Soul Simmers, and welcome back to a brand new video. As some of you might know, I have been partnered with the SimsTree for quite a long time on this channel at this point. However, I have never made a full tutorial, and today that is going to change because I would like to show you how you can make your own family tree in the SimsTree service. This video is also sponsored by the SimsTree. I am using the Pro version of the tool. If you're interested to also get an upgrade to the Pro version, I have made sure to link my affiliate link and discount code in the description box down below. Just know that you can actually get started with this tool completely for free. So if you just want to try it out to see if it's something for you, feel free to still use that link in the description box down below to sign up, and you can always upgrade in a later point. But just be aware that some features I might showcase in the tutorial today are limited or not available when you're on the unpaid version. I am, however, including them in the tutorial just to make sure that this tutorial is as complete as possible. But with all of those disclaimers out of the way, let's actually get started with the tutorial of the SimsTree. So once you navigate to the website of the SimsTree, this is a fully browser-based tool, so there's no need to install any applications. It also works on your phone, which is pretty nice. They have updated the entire UI to actually work really well on your phone. So if you don't have access to a computer, you can actually use this on a mobile device as well. If you just go to their website, up at the top here, there is a little login button, which once you click it, allows you to set up your account, and from there you can get started with creating your SimsTree. So once you log in, you actually get to your portal or your part of the SimsTree. This is where you can start to set up your different SimsTrees, but this is also where you get access to their instructions, to the online gallery where people can publish their SimsTrees, which is what you can see here. These are all SimsTrees created by Sims creators. And just as an example, you can actually open my SimsTree here as well, and it will open up that tree right away where you can click through the characters. You can actually see their entire backstory and stuff. This is also how I publish all of my family trees for my Let's Plays here, both on my YouTube channel as well as on my Twitch. So if you're ever interested in watching any of those, I have made sure to link those playlists down below as well. And feel free to ever come hang out on my Twitch streams, of course, where I'm playing the Not So Berry Challenge. But it is very fun if you ever want to get some inspiration for storytelling, or you're just trying to get some inspiration for how to like customize your family tree and stuff. It is really fun to actually check out family trees from other creators. However, that gallery is not just what we're here for today. So let's actually start with the layout, what you will see on this page. So all the way at the top here, you can see my dynasties. That's what they call a family tree. So if you want to start a new family tree for, let's say, a Let's Play of a legacy challenge or a specific video, you set that up as what they call a dynasty. I'm not clicking on it very purposefully because I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed just now. So I'm going to click on that and show you how to set all of that up in the rest of this tutorial. Also, I've made sure to add timestamps to this video. So if you're just looking for like a part of the tutorial, feel free to click that so that you can watch that instead of maybe like watching the whole video if you're already maybe a bit more familiar with the SimsTree. Then below that, you have your Sims. So something that is important to understand about the SimsTree is that you set up your Sims separately from your family tree. That actually allows you to have Sims appear in multiple family trees if you want to, or actually link family trees together. I'm going to show you how to do that later, but I actually initially found it a bit confusing that when I was starting a family tree, I first needed to set up my Sims in a separate tab. However, once I realized why they do that, it started to all make sense to me. So I just want to give you guys that heads up that if you start with the SimsTree, just start with adding a couple of Sims because that will make the process so much easier when you actually start to create your family tree. I'm going to also walk you through the process of creating your Sim cards and stuff like that, so don't worry, but just keep that in mind for the rest of this tutorial. Then below that, we have a handbook, and this is actually a very important part to also mention already, because this is where you can kind of like customize the way that you can later set up things in your family tree. So here you can set up custom occults. You can add your own occults to this. They haven't actually preloaded any of the occults in the game. The reason for that is that specifically for occults, a lot of people tend to play with mods. So you can actually set up your own occults with their own icon so that you can fully dive into the storytelling that you like. And it's not limited to just the occults we already have in the game. Below that, you actually have the icons. You can set up custom icons. If you're worried about why you would do that right now, don't worry too much. I'll actually refer back to this in a later point in the tutorial. But just know that you can do that and that this is where you can find it. Basically, you can set up custom relations for your Sims. So for example, I have one custom relation that is called band member, because in my Pack Legacy playthrough, I have a Sim who has a couple of his friends are not just his friends, but they're also part of his band. And I wanted to show like a little separate icon in the family tree to showcase that those are not just friends, but they're band members. So here you can basically customize every single relationship icon for your Sims tree. which makes it, one, obviously very customizable. You can fully stylize your SimsTree, but also that means that you can go way more in depth with storytelling because you're not limited to like the basic relations of dating or married or brother and sister, like stuff like that. You can basically just customize it fully to your heart's content to really delve into the different relationships that your sim can have with other sims. And below that, we have tags. You can actually create different tags that you can always pick from the sim card. I'm going to show you exactly where to find this later, but this is very useful if you're, let's say, like playing through a specific challenge and certain sims belong to certain generations and you want to always be able to grab that like from a drop-down menu of tags or stuff like that. You can also have a custom tag system. So you can kind of get creative with this. This is fully up to you. There's a whole bunch of customizable fields on the sim card that allow you to really make your family tree yours. And the tag system is just one of them. But this is where you set all of those up. So that is called the handbook part. Then below that, we have instructions, which I'll quickly show you if you click here where that will take you. So if you're ever looking for a written guide on how to use the SimsTree, they have actually done this for you. They have written everything out. I know that for some people, listening to a video and like seeing someone do things is very helpful. But for some people, it is just easier to read things and just to have that like written documentation, maybe even next to a video. So know that everything I'm like actually going over in this video is also written out on their own page. This is a Notion page. I myself, I'm a big user of Notion. So when I saw this, it did really make me happy. But this has all the steps that you could ever need to know with screenshots and even little videos and stuff as well. So feel free to check this out. However, in this video, I'm going to take you through single thing step by step and kind of show you a little bit more. But whichever one works best for you, feel free to use either resource to help you build your first family tree. So once we're there, we can go back to that gallery. That's where we were at earlier, where you can actually see all the different family trees. And then next to the gallery, they have another tab called diaries, which I have been so excited about because this really to me feels like the early days of like Sims Tumblr, where people can write specific diary entries for the Sims in their family tree and then they can publish it here. So for example, here we have a diary entry from someone who the Sim is Caspian Rockwell. So this is very much like written from the perspective of the Sim. You can see the author and like you can see their actual link. If you click here, it will actually copy the link to the diary so you can open it in a separate tab if you want to, but you can also click here to click on read. And as you can see, people can add like photos to it and then people write like entire stories here, which again, this just really brings me back to that days of Sims Tumblr. So if you are a big storyteller and maybe even you want to use like the SimsTree as your main social platform to talk about your Sims and share your Sim stories, this diary feature is great for that. People can also either save your diary entry, they can like it, and they can even comment down below if they also have a SimsTree account. Then you can just click on back at the top corner, just like I did, and then you come back to this gallery page. And then below that, we have the Sims blog. This is where they post a whole bunch of resources. They are very active on their blog, so it allows you to like read a whole bunch of things that they have written. They very often do like showcases of legacy challenges. They do showcases of mods and stuff like that. So even if you're just looking for like a good place for resources for the Sims, this is gonna be it. And then finally, there is a button to allow you to get the mobile app. So apart from it being very mobile friendly, you can actually get an Android and iOS app for this as well, which also gives you access to all of the features on the SimsTree. So again, if you're on a mobile device, this app is very available to you as well. Also, you might notice that my SimsTree is set to light mode. That's because I personally prefer light mode for the contrast. It makes it a little bit easier for me to read. But if you are like, my goodness, that's light, you can actually turn it to dark mode as well. And it is actually pretty nice. I feel like the SimsTree has done a pretty good job in accessibility, and like the contrast is high enough as well in the dark mode. I am gonna switch to light mode for this tutorial. I'm sorry if that bothers you, but it's just something that helps me be able to read the text a bit better. So with that, we've actually covered everything that you can see in the UI. So now that you know your way around, let's actually get started with making a sim. So to do that, you're actually going to click on the My Sims tab here on the left-hand side. And this is where you can see all of the Sims that I have actually already added to my family tree. So like I said, this is very much based on the concept of you first adding your Sims into a list and then being able to link them to your family tree in the right place. So you can also search up here. So if you have a whole long list of characters, because this goes across all your family trees, so over time it's going to grow quite a lot, you can easily search for your Sims. And there's a separate tab for all of your pets because you can add them separately and link them to different Sims as well. So if we're going to create a new sim, basically what you do is there's a green button at the top here. You can click add, and then from here, it's going to make this little pop-up appear, and this is where you can set up your sim. So we're going to get started with a sim that is part of the Howard dynasty, which I'm going to set up specifically for this tutorial. As you can see here behind my camera a little bit already, I have set up a bunch of sims, but there's one single sim that I haven't added just yet. So as you can see, I have actually prepared all of my graphic assets for this. I will show you when we add a photo is that you can actually edit your photos here in the SimsTree as well. There is a full-fledged photo editor. I personally already have a Canva Pro account, so I prefer to edit in Canva simply because that's just what I'm used to. So you can either create your photos outside of the SimsTree, or you can actually upload them here and then add them. I'll quickly show you the photo editor. But if you want to do like custom backgrounds and stuff, it can be useful to do it outside of the SimsTree because then you can just edit a little bit more, because the SimsTree photo editor is really nice, but it is pretty like simple, more for like adding stickers and, you know, adding filters and stuff, kind of like what you can expect on Instagram or Snapchat or something like that. So the sim that we still have to add is this particular sim, which is Carter Howard. So once we click here, like I said, it's going to open that editor. And as you can see here, we can actually add filters. We can fine tune things, so we can go into the photo and like edit it a bit more. We can annotate, so we can actually write on the photo. We can decorate it. We can add things with a Sharpie, eraser, a path, a line. Like you can get quite extensive with this if you want to. Then there is different stickers. You can even upload images to add as stickers. So if there's like certain things that you want to add, maybe you create your own icon set or something like that, you can add it into these photos as well. You can add a frame if you want to. You can, if you want to redact certain things. So like if there is a sim that might be a criminal or something, you might be able to like put a little banner across their eyes. I don't know, you can get quite creative with this again. And then if you want, you can also resize it. So if that photo maybe is a little bit too large, or you want to have it be a square photo, stuff like that, you can do that all in here. Once you're done, you're actually going to click on done, and then it's going to upload it here into their avatar. Something that is good to know is that they added a feature, I would say about a year ago. They very continuously update the tool as well, but something that they added in like, I think an update about a year ago, is that your sim can have multiple avatars across their life stage, and the old ones don't get lost. So as soon as you've made a sim, you can actually go into their card and update their avatar. So if you add a sim into the family tree for the first time as a toddler, but then they age up into a child, you can just give them a new photo, but then you'll get like a little slideshow of all of their photos if you click on their card, and you'll be able to like see the way that they grew up as part of your family tree, which I think is super cute. Then, like I said, we're gonna set up their name. So his name is Carter, and then his last name is Howard. So their gender is male, female, or other. One thing that I have actually been in contact with the SimsTree about is if there's any way that we can make this a little bit more flexible, also to allow you to set up your custom pronouns, because this is simply a thing in the game already, so why not have it here too? But for now, we're gonna set him to male. His location is actually in I don't remember where they live. I might actually have to really briefly save his card. That's very nice. You can save his card even though it's not completely filled. I might have to do a quick check. I said that they live in San Sequoia. See, I quickly needed to briefly check and take a little peek in his family. But that's actually nice, because then I can show you that once you have actually created a character, you can still click on them, and then you can just select edit, and then you can just continue to edit. So even if you don't have all the details about a character, or maybe they over time get more traits and stuff, you can always come back here and edit your sim card. So their location is San Sequoia. Again, this is one of the features that I really appreciate about the SimsTree, because they have preloaded all the things into their tool. So instead of needing to add an icon or like adding all the worlds yourself, this is all just loaded into it, and you can just pick from a drop-down menu. They do continue to update this, so if any new worlds were to be added, I don't expect that at this time, but you never know, they will add it into here as well. His condition is that he is very much alive. If he is dead, however, you can actually pick from a list of deaths to see how he died. You can either say whether he's a person or a pet. Well, in this case, he's very much a person. That kind of determines where he ends up in this like filter list of the characters, whether he is a character or a pet. Then you can select those tags. That is the list that I referred to earlier in this tutorial, where you can set up your own custom tags. I personally don't have any custom tags, but again, this is just to give you more flexibility, but you can very much leave these things empty. If they are empty, they just simply do not show up at your Sims card. So so it doesn't like clutter your overview of your Sims. Then you can say whether he's an occult. Like you can see, I only have one occult set up here, which is the vampire. Again, that is very much in that section that I showcased earlier where you can set up all your own custom occults with their own custom icon. In this case, I'll give him the vampire occult simply to show you what that looks like in the family tree. He is not really a vampire though, so I just want to let you know, I'm purely setting this up to show you what that will look like in the actual family tree and how you can recognize occults in the family tree. Then character traits, there's two options to set this up. You can either write them down, which is great if you're playing with a modded version of The Sims, or if you just have like maybe a bit more backstory to why your Sim has certain character traits, or you're using character traits for storytelling that aren't in the game. But there is also a drop-down list which actually has all the character traits that are actually part of the game loaded in. Same goes for aspirations. You can actually write his aspiration, or you can pick from a drop-down list. Again, these aspirations are great if you're playing modded, or just in general, if you are for storytelling, giving your Sim like a bigger life aspiration next to the aspiration that we have in The Sims. In this case, let's actually give him some traits. So he is active, he is, maybe he is beloved, and he is, let's see, he is an eco master, and his aspiration right now is to be an athlete. Make it make sense. Then below here, you can actually even add their skills. So you can, from a drop-down list, pick all the skills that he has. So let's say that his logic skill is at like level 8 right now. His baking skill is at like level 5. Maybe his charisma is, he has a lot of riz. He has 10 in charisma for sure. And then maybe something very random is parenting. I mean, he has kids, so let's give him a 5 on parenting. And then here you can also create additional fields. This I think is amazing because next to all the things that you already have, there's even more customization, and you can even copy that from other challenges or like other dynasties that you already have. So in my case, I'm actually going to copy something from the Pack Legacy Challenge because there I have a custom field, which I think illustrates pretty well what this feature can do. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to have to find my Sim from the Not So Berry or from the Pack Legacy Challenge. So let's go with Yule because I know that I've set it up for him. Here you can see that I have a field that is called Pack of the Generation, and that is called Get to Work. And then I've even uploaded a custom icon so that on their card, you will actually see that that generation, like this Sim belongs to that generation of the Pack Legacy. And I've also added a custom field for the career so that I can write down which career he's been doing. So again, you can upload your own little photo right next to it here. You can even organize in which order they show up on the Sim card, and you can create so many additional fields if you wanted to. Like you could log anything about your Sims, give it custom icons, and just make sure that it looks good. Then you can write a description. With this, you can do full text formatting. You can add links, videos, photos, everything. So you can get pretty creative with writing your Sim's backstory, for example. This is how I use this feature, the description feature, is for all of my heirs, I will actually write out their entire story. Like their entire life story about how they are progressing through life and progressing through the challenge is written out here, so that if people find my legacy challenges on Twitch or on YouTube, somewhere midway through, they can actually read up on what has happened in the past, and then they can jump on the current episode, and they don't actually have to binge watch the whole thing if they don't want to. I feel like on YouTube this has been nice, but specifically on Twitch this has been so extremely helpful because I've been playing the Not So Berry Challenge for 4 years at this point. There's no way that anyone's ever going to watch back all that content, but also just for yourself, if you want to keep track of your Sims or you just want to give a little bit more context to the character, you can write everything down here. So let's actually save this so that you can see what this will look like on his actual character card. And you'll also notice that there is a bunch more information over here. So this is all the information that we just added. This is how the skills will show up. This is where you can see that Pack of the Generation with its own little custom icon. This is where you can see that text that I added into the career field. And then from here, you can actually link a whole bunch more things. So once a character is created, you can actually start adding photos to their gallery. So let's say you've taken screenshots in game from whatever they're doing. You can add that here like a little life photo album. You can actually on the card also set up their parents so that unrelated of the family tree, you'll always be able to see who their parents are. In my case, Carter is the founding sim, so he doesn't actually have parents. But if I quickly navigate to Noelle, you will actually see that her parents are properly linked on her card. So that again, even regardless of the family tree, you'll always be able to see who her parents are. Next to that, you can also set up friends and pets with the same way or like the same mechanic. So for example, you can see that Annette actually has a dog called Turtle, which means that Carter should actually also have that dog because they live together, they are married. And that way you can always be able to, like, again, regardless of the family tree, see some information about this sim. Then up here, we also have that diary feature that will publish the things to the diary gallery. You can add a whole bunch of entries in here. So for one sim, you can just continuously write their stories in the diary as well. This is that avatar tab that I referred to earlier. So across his life, you can actually go here and say edit. Every single time you go in here and you click edit, like the little pencil up here, and you upload a new avatar, the old one is automatically saved to the avatar tab over here. And with this little checkbox, you can say which one should be the current avatar that they have on the family tree. And then here you can even add some links. Let's say that for a specific character, you've made a YouTube video or a stream that you want to link to their character, or maybe you've created a photo album on a Google Drive somewhere. This is where you can even link that. With that out of the way, with all of the sim creation out of the way, I feel like you have already actually taken the biggest step to creating your family tree, because this is where most of your time will go, is actually creating all the sim cards for all the sims that you want to show up in your family tree. So now that we have all of our sims loaded in, we're actually going to create a new dynasty. To do that, you're going to click on the dynasty tab. In my case, you can see I already have two, but there is a button down below that says add a dynasty. So let's get started with that, and it will just open up a very similar menu as to what we've seen with the sim card. And then first, you can actually give your dynasty a cover photo, or like a profile photo of the family. Again, I have kind of prepared this, so I have made a nice little visual that says the Howard family, and then it has like a really nice family photo of all of them. So let me save that, and then this one is going to be the Howard dynasty. I rarely call them dynasty. I usually just call them like Not So Berry Challenge, Pack Legacy Challenge, depending on the family that I'm playing with, depending on the challenge that I'm playing. But in this case, because we're building it so specifically for one family, I'll just call it the Howard dynasty. And then you can actually write out some information about this family in general. So in this case, the Howard family is the one and only family I am using for my YouTube channel to teach people how to use the SimsTree. The Howard, I need to make sure how to capitalize. Family would appreciate it if you subscribe to Rose's channel. Smiley. See? They would appreciate that. And I would appreciate it too. So if you've been getting use out of this tutorial, don't forget to check out my channel. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and otherwise just like this video. That also already helps a lot. Like I said, you can actually use all the tools that you're used to. You can also add additional fields here. So again, giving you a lot of customization to add information to your Sims tree. Once you've done that, you're going to click save, and it's actually going to create it. And from there, you can click on it and it will open this specific overview. This is what every single family tree looks like when you get started. And before we actually dive into anything, I'm just going to walk you through what you see over here. So at the top here, you see the Howard dynasty. That's your name. You can see that image. If you click on it, it will open up that same thing that you already saw before. From here, you can also again edit it, and you can create a overarching family gallery. So if you want to just add photos of this Let's Play or this particular dynasty to the overarching family tree instead of on individual Sims cards, you can actually do that over here as well. The amount of generations will be automatically counted up based on how many Sims you add into the family tree. This little edit button, again, just opens up that same menu as earlier, but then just immediately in edit mode. And then if you want to actually edit your Sims tree itself, there's a couple of buttons at the top here that you need to know. So the first one is this little edit slider. If you click on that, that will allow you to actually modify the Sims in the family tree itself and set up their relationships. Then there's a button right next to it that allows you to set up or like customize or stylize the family tree itself. So if you want to make sure that it looks the way you want it to look, that's going to be that button. I'm going to go over all the options there. I'm just explaining where to find what now. And if you ever want to share your family tree, either on that gallery in the Sims tree itself or publicly with other people, there's a share button at the top here that allows you to add an actual preview photo. So you can customize like your cover photo that people will see on the gallery. Then you can either say gallery by link or private. As you can see, this background isn't the worst, but I personally think that we can do a little bit better. So we're going to get started with those buttons up here, and we're going to start by customizing it. There is actually a whole bunch of creators who have created wallpaper packs. So if you do not know where to start, I can highly recommend just scrolling through this wallpaper list. The SimsTree team has made some themselves. A friend of mine, Plumbelina, has made a whole bunch. Some of them are very colorful. Some of them are a bit more neutral, but there is like so many in here that I think you guys will love if you don't want to upload your own. However, if you do want to upload your own, there is a button to just create your own and fully customize your family tree the way you want. I have in fact prepared a background, so let me actually open that. That way the family tree is hopefully going to match with the rest of the graphics that I've made. So as you can see now, we have their little family photo down here, and we have that as their background, and then we can just move all of the nodes, as they are called, around. That's where you're going to link your actual Sims, but this way you can make sure that your family tree looks the way you want it to. So there's a couple of other things that they have actually recently updated, and I'm not joking when I say recently. That's literally done this morning, right before I recorded this tutorial. That is the tab to stylize your tree, because not only can you make sure that the background looks the way you want, you can basically customize every single step of the way. You can customize the color of the lines between the people. You can actually change whether that line is thicker or thinner. You can change whether it's displaying the Sim's name, whether it's only their surname or their full name. You can actually say that it should show whether they are alive or dead. I will actually tick that so that you can see it. You can also say whether you want to have an airline. So if you're playing a challenge where you are actually basically going from one sim to the next, and then that's the official heir of the generation, you can showcase that. I will turn it on. However, in this case, it's just one family, so there's not really an heir, but you can theoretically just show that, and you could weave that into your storytelling, of course. You can also change the way that the avatar border looks. So around your sim, like this little wide line here, you can change the color, you can change the thickness, all of those things. You can change whether it has a drop shadow or not, and this is very much like neatly organized, and that's the thing that they changed recently. Is this used to be just a very long list of settings, but now they've added like nice headers, and it's a bit more clear with like instructions and little pop-ups with information on what all of these settings do. I'm not going to go over all these settings because I think, one, they speak for themselves quite well, and secondly, then this tutorial will just take forever. So I just want to showcase you guys where to find these settings. But again, they have pretty good like information pop-ups if you just hover over the question mark that tell you what it does to your family tree. And I can highly recommend just playing around with this to kind of customize it the way that feels comfortable for you. I know that some people really will go ham on this, and some people will just look at this and think, you know what, the default settings are fine. And that's also completely okay. Once you have picked that, I will actually pick a different color for that airline. So as you can see, you can just have like a little pop-up menu. Let's pick like a nice dark purple. So then when we set up the air, we can actually see that line will turn purple. I'm going to show you how to change that as well. And then from here, we are actually going to go back to this button, which allows us to set up our family tree. So from here, there is a couple of buttons. You can either say, I want to set up a sim above this. You can set up a sim below this, or you can actually set up this specific sim with the cogwheel over here. Once you click it, it's going to bring up that menu that allows you to select the sims that you've set up before. That's why I said start with adding all your sims, because you can technically do that from here. You could technically click add sim and then go through like setting up that entire sim card. I personally prefer it if all my sims are just preloaded in, and then all I have to do in my family tree is actually link them together. So from here, we're going to start with Carter Howard, the sim that we just added. And as you can see, it automatically loads. Let me quickly turn that off so I can hover over it. It automatically loads their pet because we have linked that on their card. So we can now see that Carter has this pet. And you can see here that little icon that I loaded in, like the vampire occult one. This showcases that he is a vampire. You can set up, like I said, all your own occults with all their own custom icons that will then show up in this family tree. In my case, I loaded an icon with a transparent background, but obviously if you load an icon that isn't transparent, that will like be filled in the background a bit better, so you can hopefully see it a bit more easily. You can customize so many things here that you can really truly make it look and feel the way you want. But once you've done that, let's go back into edit mode. Once you see that, you can actually hover over, and there's 2 additional buttons now that we've assigned this specific circle to a sim. The first one is a heart, which will allow you to set up relationships with other sims. So we can actually click here, and then we can say we want them to be married, so a spouse, and their spouse is Annette. So we can click that, and then it automatically creates that next icon. Something that is important here is that, like I said, you can set up your own custom relationships. This is where that band member one shows up. The more you have here with your own custom icons, like let's say that he also has a band member and that his band member is Ollie, you can see that it starts to create multiple nodes next to each other. And here you can see that custom icon, which if you hover over it, it will tell you what it is. I am going to delete that right now because that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I just wanted to showcase what that can do. So again, you can get quite creative with all your custom relationships and then custom icons. Even if you don't like the default icon for a spouse and you want to set up your own custom relationship for like married or spouse, you can do that and then set it up here, and then it will completely overhaul the way that your Sims tree will look like. However, for this one, we're just going to use the pre-built-in relationships because I think that is enough for now. In this case, Howard doesn't have any other relationship. However, Howard does have a sim with Annette. And this is also something where I feel like the parent thing on the sim card becomes relevant, because in this case, Howard and Annette together actually have a child. But you could technically in this family tree also link a sim to only Howard because they have a different second parent. And then that other parent will not show up in the family tree because they are currently not in a relationship with Carter. Or maybe they will show up as an ex. But then once you click on that sim, you will still be able to see who their parent is. So instead of making an extremely complex family tree with lots of branches that becomes impossible to click through, they've kept it relatively simple so that you can still see that Carter had a relationship with Annette and maybe an ex-wife. And then once you click on that child, you'll be able to see whether like their parent is his current wife or his ex-wife, if that makes any sense. So from here, we've actually created a child. They have Meki. So now that we've created Meki, we can actually set up that Meki is also married to Heather. So as you can see, that creates that line. And then if you want to actually set up that Meki is the heir of Carter, I mean, in this case, it's their only child, so it would make sense. All you have to do is basically in edit mode, click on their portrait, and then that line will turn purple. If there's multiple children, if you want to move that airline, you just click on the other person's portrait and then it will move it to that sim. So from here, you can actually see that Meki and Heather have multiple children. So they have a teenage son named Jared. They have yet another child, which is a child named Malia. And then they have one more kid, which is named Noel. And then from here, as you can see, if we now want to say that, like, let's say Jared is the heir, we can click on Jared, but then if we're like, oh no, sorry, Malia is the heir, we just click on Malia and then it moves it. Or if we say Noel is supposed to be the heir, you can just move it in between them, basically. If you don't want the airline, you can just turn it off in the settings. But for the purpose of this video, I do think it is nice to be able to show that. So then there's one button I haven't properly explained yet, and that is this button over here, which is used to create a so-called sub-family tree. For this specific scenario, it doesn't make the most sense because everyone in this family tree is actually related. So to showcase you what that feature does, I would actually like to show you my Not So Berry challenge, because in my Not So Berry challenge and my Pack Legacy, I kind of have an overlap, and that's where this feature really comes in handy. So in my Not So Berry challenge tree, you can actually see all my Sims, and my main Sim in the purple generation, Plum Bobby, was actually best friends with one of my heirs from the Pack Legacy challenge. And as you can see, there's a little button hovering next to his portrait. You can also click on his card and you can actually see all the information about him. So he is the heir of one of the generations for the Pack Legacy. But in here, you can actually click on it and then you can open his family tree. This is not automatically created. So if you want this to be able to show up, you're gonna basically have to recreate this family tree inside the other family tree. So from here, we can actually close this again. We go back to the main family tree. If I click on Plum Bobby, it just opens his character card, basically. It just opens him with all of his relations. But if I want to open Yule's, their name is Yule. If I want to open Yule's full family tree, I have to set that up through that button. So if I go back to the Howard dynasty and I go into edit mode and I go here and I click that plus sign, from here, I'm going to have to edit. Like, as you can see, it doesn't automatically take his family tree from the previous slide, but here you can, for one sim, like within another family tree, create their whole own family tree. So that means that, let's say for Heather, in this case, I would like to set up her family tree with her parents and maybe her brothers and sisters. I can click on this and then I could set up her own separate family tree, which again allows you for very complex storytelling. If like your sim is marrying into another family, but they already have a lot of existing drama, I feel like this is particularly handy if you are doing rotational gameplay and you want to have maybe one main family and then like 5 other families that are all somehow intertwined with that one main family. This allows you to do all that custom storytelling, but that's how you set it up. And as you can see, now that I've clicked on that button once, it has actually created that subtree, which means that even though it doesn't have anything in particular, it is just there. From that moment onward, that sim will be seen as someone with their own detailed family tree as well. Once you turn off the edit mode, as you can see, it does clean up a lot. I really like how all of these icons and everything is customizable because, again, these are just the default ones, but if you want to make that a whole lot more custom to really fit your playthrough, let's say you're doing like a fantasy playthrough and you want to have everything fit that theme, you can totally do that. As you can also see, there is now the generations automatically added to 3 because we have added 3 layers of generations. And the more you continue to build this out, the more generations will be added automatically. From here, we can now also go back to that share button and we can actually click on the gallery. And now, as soon as we've selected that, this tree is actually published on the gallery as well. I think with that, we have actually covered everything you need to know about creating your family tree in the SimsTree. I believe I've gone over all the features that the SimsTree has to offer for you to create your perfect family tree of your playthroughs. Like I said, I have been using this to keep track of my Not So Berry challenge that I've been playing over the course of 4 years. And I've been using this to keep track of my Pack Legacy challenge, which at this point I've also been playing for the past like 2.5 to 3 years. Something that I really appreciate, again, is that feature where you can link everyone together and it makes it so much easier for people that are jumping into a story to follow. As you can see, I really do my best to link everything about my sim, also the different places that they've lived. So this sim has actually moved multiple times. And like I said, I write out their entire backstory for people to catch up on my storylines if they want. I'm a very passionate storyteller in The Sims, so I love to be able to record my stories this way so that I can also read them back myself at one point later in time. I think, like I said, with that, I've covered everything you need to know about the SimsTree. If you're interested, feel free to click that link in my description box down below. If you're going to sign up for the pro version, feel free to use my code for a nice discount. And by that, you are also actively supporting my content here. So if you have done that in the past, or if you're going to do that in the future, thank you so, so much. If you have any questions, suggestions, ideas, even if you have anything you wish was in the SimsTree, let me know in the comments down below because I am in direct contact with the team and I always love to be able to give them feedback from the community using the tool. So yeah, feel free to drop anything in the comments down below, even if it's just your favorite emoji, because that does really help for engagement. And again, if this is the first time you're seeing a video of mine, feel free to check out my channel. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye everyone.